Good evening. Welcome to the City of Jacksonville Beach Planning Commission, our meeting of Monday, June 12th, 2023. I'd like to call us to order, and maybe we have a roll call.
David Dow.
Here.
Margaret Murray.
Here.
Nicholas Andrews.
Here.
Colleen White.
Here.
Justin Raymond.
Here.
Justin Henderson.
Here.
Debbie Cole.
Here. Thank you everyone for coming. Before we get started, there were just a couple of reminders that I wanted to mention. One is, 'tis the season for financial disclosure forms, so please be looking in the mail. You should be getting financial disclosure forms. They're due on July 3rd, so just kind of bear that in mind. We also, you guys will recall that we were asked by the clerk to ensure that we turn on our microphones and speak into the microphones to make it easier to make sure that everybody's heard. So if everybody would keep that in mind. And then specific to what's on the agenda for this evening's meeting, I just wanted to remind everybody, and for some of you we haven't done too many of these that frequently, we are making a recommendation to City Council as opposed to making a decision. So what we of course make our recommendation based on competent substantial evidence, but if we would please make a record as we speak about what that evidence is that causes us to support, to make changes, or to not support. That's just, it makes it easier going forward if we do those things. So thank you everyone for your patience with that. Okay, so the Planning Commission bases its decisions on competent substantial evidence, including testimony provided at this meeting. Any person who is not an applicant or agent that wishes to speak will need to fill out a speaker's card located by the side table at the door and turn them into the clerk. It's our practice that regardless of the type of issue we are asked to decide upon, each member of the public is given 3 minutes to speak on each item. Please refrain from speaking out from the audience, applauding, groaning, etc., as we try to keep an atmosphere where everyone listening or in attendance is comfortable. And then please silence your cell phone. Having said that, our first item of work is approval of minutes. Do we have any comments, questions, proposed changes to the minutes of May 22nd, 2023, or the joint board workshop? If I hear any suggestions for changes, we can take those two items separately, but otherwise we can take them together if everyone is okay with that. So any changes to either set of minutes for May 31 or May 22nd? Hearing none, do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion to accept.
Do you have a second? Second. All in favor, please indicate by saying aye. Aye. All opposed? Thank you very much. Motion passes. Do we have any correspondence?
No correspondence, but you do have an updated site plan and written description for the item tonight. Short story, basically there were several versions of this that went through and we scanned the wrong version in the packet. There's not a substantial difference, but I'll go through in essence what they're covering with this.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Buckley. Do any commissioners have ex parte communication to disclose? And I do not, as well, so let the record reflect if no one did. Do we have any old business? Do we have any, we know we have new business. Let's deal with PC 0123. Mr. Buckley?
Right. This is PC 0123. It's a request for rezoning to planned unit development. The two properties in question are 1120 Shedder Avenue and 1147 South 1st Street. The applicant is the Beaches Emergency Assistance Ministry, or BEAM. They'll be represented by Hunter Faulkner. The request is to rezone the existing industrial properties to planned unit development, which would allow for the expansion of the existing BEAM thrift retail business that's located along Shedder at 11. I'm sorry, that should be 1110, not 1120. Just a mistake in the staff report. So, let me find the visual here. Try and summarize this to the Eaton currently has a thrift retail location located on Cheddar Avenue, which is this portion of the site plan here. It's an existing industrial building with a small parking area in the front. They've been operating there for many years. The industrial zoning category actually doesn't have an individual retail sale use. It's really a mistake of the cities where they applied for business license to operate there back in, I want to say 2004, specifically as a retail establishment, and it was signed off on and approved for warehousing. I think there was some miscommunication with the previous director as to what they were actually asking for, because he wouldn't have issued it had he read it as a retail establishment, but they've been operating that way for a long time, and nobody really caught it until they came in to discuss the expansion, which was the property located along First here, which is another industrial warehouse type building. And at that point, we kind of caught the fact that they didn't actually have a use allowed in the industrial zone, but they've been there for decades. So we proposed in conversations with them the option of doing a rezoning to PUD, basically to take all the existing industrial uses and add retail sales to the industrial area through the PUD, which would allow them to continue their operation and then move forward with the expansion to the building in the rear. What you have in the written description, in essence, is all the criteria addressed in both the PUD and the rezoning criteria. The only significant difference between sort of the standard requirements for normal commercial sales versus what they're proposing here has to do with parking. And basically, we're just allowing them to allocate the interior space that they're using for storage and count that under the industrial standard, which only requires one parking space. Typically, retail is calculated on the total gross square footage of the building. So this allows them to parse out that storage area, which is a significant part of the building that they currently occupy, because the front part is the only one that would have issues meeting the parking requirement. And we're having them basically calculate the parking per building, because there's a significant change in grade right here, and it's relatively difficult for them to move, as customers from this parcel to this parcel. And because of that, realistically, anyone's going to have to drive around to come over here. So this kind of has to stand on its own, and then this has to stand on its own with regards to parking. This property does have paved parking, but in addition to that, this parcel has a very large, kind of undefined gravel parking area. There are some parking stops that are noted on the site plan, but in essence, this serves as overflow parking and meets the open space requirements for the PUD. And it's just really unprogrammed space, but it would allow them to have quite a bit of extra parking if needed. They can also, handle deliveries and donations and stuff there as well. So, in essence, the property isn't going to change from what it is today. The two buildings will remain as they are. The use would, again, expand to this rear building and legitimize the use up front. And so it really just allows that retail sale in an industrial zone. They are basically requesting to keep all the industrial uses. They don't own these two properties, they lease them. And so for the sake of the existing property owners, they wanted to ensure that they could retain their rights in the future to operate those facilities as industrial buildings in the future if Beam ever moves out. So this simply adds that one use and allows a little bit of different parking calculations just for these two buildings, just for the sake of Beam. Otherwise, all the standard industrial requirements for the zoning still apply here. So not a very complicated PUD, but it does resolve a number of issues and allows Beam to expand their operation.
Thank you, Mr. Popovic. Would the applicant please come forward to be sworn in and give any presentation?
Please raise your right hand. State your name and address.
Hunter Faulkner, 1 Independent Drive, Suite 1400, Jacksonville, Florida, 32202.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
I do. Good evening, Commissioners. My name is Hunter Faulkner, here on behalf of Beam and the property owners of 1110 Cheddar Avenue and 1147 First Avenue South. I believe that Christian's staff report speaks for itself. Again, the purpose is twofold here, to allow for the expansion of Beam's operations at the property for the 1147 First Avenue South property, and then to bring the Shedder property into conformance with the Land Development Code. We feel like this proposal for the PUD it fits within the comprehensive plan. It's in general harmony with the Land Development Code. At this time, I would defer to the staff report and stand by for any questions from the commissioners.
Do we have any questions for the applicant?
One quick comment, I didn't mention this previously, but commercial sales are allowed in industrial, except they have to be associated with a either bulk warehousing facility or wholesale operations or something like a bakery. So they're a subsidiary use to the primary use of something industrial. So it is covered in the comprehensive plan as an allowable use, but specifically the Land Development Code doesn't authorize standalone retail.
Thank you, Mr. Butler.
I have a question. What are the industrial uses in the industrial section?
It's spelled out within the PUD narrative. None of the industrial allowable uses are being changed within this PUD. We've simply added the ability for retail to be an allowable use within the code.
Okay, thank you.
To the Vice Chair, on the supplemental written description that was on dials, pages 2 and 3 cover the permitted accessory and additional uses for industrial. It's a pretty voluminous list.
So do you do everything on page 2 and 3?
The applicant does not.
You can,
Or you can, but the applicant here is seeking the retail use, but we are allowing those uses that are typically identified with industrial zoning so that the property can still be used and maintained as industrial space should the need arise if being no longer.
Oh, okay, so you're
occupied.
not actually doing boat repair or...
Oh, no, ma'am. No,
Okay.
that's not,
Just
that does
wondering
not fall within the applicant's
what's happening
purview.
back there.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
Mhm.
Question for Christian, but should I wait? Because it's up there, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, now it's
Okay.
time for questions for the
Perfect.
applicant. Any further questions for the applicant? Thank you, sir.
You got it, thank you.
I will now open the public hearing. Do we have any speakers' cards?
Sam Thomas, can you come up?
Please raise your right hand. State your name and address.
My name is Samuel Thomas. I live at 2249 South Beach Parkway, Jax Beach. I own some property right next door to the building you're talking about. I own 102 11th Street South on that property.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth to help you God?
So I have a couple concerns here about the project, what they're trying to do. Excuse me. The first one is this considered spot zoning? Do anybody know? Will this, the other question would be, does this affect my property next to it?
Pardon me, I wouldn't consider this spot zoning. The staff wouldn't have supported it if that were the case. And I can't speak to how this would affect your property.
There's a problem right there. Many years ago, I owned a piece of property on Sheriff Avenue. It was, when we moved there, we owned that property, it was residential. Shortly after that, they made it commercial. We tried to do projects on that property, we could not do it because it became a commercial zone. And you're limited to what you want to do. So I'm really concerned about what you want to do there. We own that whole block in there, my family and I, and we're concerned that we're not going to get caught up in those spots only.
Again, this doesn't change any of the underlying industrial uses. All
My
those
property's not
remain.
industrial.
But what I'm saying is that this currently is. So all the uses that are allowed under industrial have been there. The only thing that they're adding is retail sales.
But like I said, I'm confused here because my property is not in that zone. My property is on multifamily. It's right next door. All I want to know is will that affect my property?
Again, I can't tell you whether it would affect your property or not. This rezoning won't change the uses on your property, if that's what you're asking.
You just said you couldn't tell me
I can't tell you what the impact is, but I can tell you that this isn't going to rezone your property.
Well, I can't say I'm for the project. I can't say I'm against the project. It's like I got a lot of concerns about the project because I know it's gonna bring traffic. That's a little quaint neighborhood in there. The school come through there. So I see that they have a lot of traffic on Sheridan. So now you're gonna put those people coming through there. And it just, I'm for progress, but I don't wanna get caught up like I did on other property. And apparently you, as a board, can't answer that for me.
So, just for purposes of clarity here, right? We're talking, and I want to make sure, this is really a question for you, Christian, since we're discussing this. We're talking about the rezoning of these two specific parcels, correct? Not anything around it, so the
That is
rezoning
right.
affects that. And the only change in all of these uses that's listed here is adding number one, right? Retail sale of trade establishments as follows: used merchandise, furnishing and equipment stores, miscellaneous shopping goods, and miscellaneous retail goods. Is that correct?
Now.
As of
Right now.
as of now, everything else.
Everybody, this is the time for public
Yeah.
comment, so we can certainly have this conversation.
I just want, so my point is that correct?
That is correct.
All right.
Okay, thank you very much, sir. Do we have further speaker cards?
Yes. Willie or Willard McLaurin. McLaurin.
Please raise your right hand, state your name and address.
Willie McLaurin, 102 11th Street South, Jacks Beach.
Thank you. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're about to give in this matter is the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth, so help you God?
I do.
Thank you.
Okay, as Sam was saying, I live next door to the 1147 First Avenue South. There's a chain link fence separate our property from the establishment there. And when Persia Myers was there and Terry, she's sitting back there, we had no real issues and problems with them. Our only concern was traffic flowing around, but other than that, I have no problem with them coming in there, and as long as it doesn't affect the way that property is zoned there, because the city sometimes constantly changing rules and stuff, but other than that, I have no major issues with them coming there, because I talk with these ladies, they pull in there and park, and we have conversations and stuff. But now, so that's our major issue, is because our neighborhood is, our street is a quiet street, and only during the school year do we have a lot of traffic, because the school buses come right past my house, and then the school traffic sometimes, and people cutting through they're thinking that they can come straight down First Avenue to get to Sutter Avenue, because they have a fence that closes off, and there's woods and stuff behind them, And so sometimes people just come and then they have to find a turnaround. But as long as it minimizes traffic, because I come through, I'm on this and I ride through the street daily, and I just want to make sure that, you know, traffic will not affect me coming back and forth to my home. But I'm totally for the project.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think we may want to hear from the applicant if there's any responses to what he's heard, if that's, if everybody agrees with that. Oh, I'm sorry, there are no more slides. You're still sworn in.
Still sworn in. Thank you, Mr. Chairperson. Just a quick response to Mr. Thomas's concerns. And so we do appreciate you coming down here and voicing these concerns. It's the purpose of these public forums, and it's, you know, local neighborhood citizens are always encouraged to come out and speak. Like Christian was saying, this is only an intended rezoning for the two properties at issue. 1147 First Avenue South and 1110 Shetter Avenue. The properties will maintain all of the permitted uses for industrial zoning, so it will not change the characteristics of the property. We're not anticipating any, or there's no contemplated improvements to the property. There's no construction going on. The buildings are not being connected. The parcels are not being combined. So I wanted to clarify that. And so we are happy, the applicant and I are happy to meet with you outside of the hearing to discuss those concerns so that we can all be on the same page. I think that would probably be applicable at this point. And we want to encourage an open dialogue, especially with the neighbors. As with regard to the operations on the 1147 First Avenue South parcel, it will be retail operations. It's open for business Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m. So it's not expanded hours of operation. We're not going to have early morning traffic, nor anything past 5 p.m. So I think it's limited hours for hours of operation. As far as the business that will be in there, it's the Bean Thrift operations, the expansion of what's already on Shetter. This is a fairly quiet business that's and it's a 501c3 community-based charitable foundation. They're operating thrift stores to help raise revenue for their entity that fights hunger and homelessness in the local area. So this is just an expansion of that. With regard to the industrial use as it is, I mean, there are a lot of other much more heavy impact uses that could go into these spaces versus what NEEM is trying to do. We've had operation for almost 20 years now on the Shetter parcel, and then with this expansion, you're looking at a long-term tenant on these properties that is not it's not a high impact usage, as would maybe the case with other industrial uses. So I just wanted to address those concerns, and possibly lay any fears or worries about what the applicant is proposing.
Thank you, sir.
Wait, two questions. One question, you said closed on weekends?
No, Monday through Saturday, 10 a.m. to 5 p.m.
Saturday, okay. And then, is it a distribution center at all? Like, are things coming there and then being shipped to other stores from there? Or how does that work?
No, it's just retail operations. All right.
So once the donations come, they get sold there?
That's correct.
So you should go. And in your professional opinion, can you answer the gentleman's, both of their worries that are things going to change in their neighborhood?
My assumption is no. I do not think so. I think that we're promoting, a business that will have, it will have retail customers that will be coming in, but currently now the parcel that is not in operation on 1147 just is not open for business. So obviously there will be an increase in parking there because the business will be open. But there is substantial parking. There's more overflow parking that's required. We think it will remain a quiet neighborhood. And as I was saying before, this versus a lot of other industrial type uses at the property may cause a more dramatic, possibly negative impact, whereas I do not think that this would.
Thank you, Councilman.
Other questions for the applicant?
Yeah, just one last question. You may or may not have an answer to this. Do you have any average, visitors per day at Beam currently? Like how much foot traffic do you get on a typical day? Do you have anything like that?
I'd have to confer with my client. I don't know, but we can come back and supplement that information for the commission if needed.
Thank you.
Further questions? Thank you very much. Thank you. Is there anyone in the audience who's not filled out a speaker's card who wishes to address us? Seeing none, I will now close the public hearing. Bring the item back to the board for discussion. So what do we think, commissioners?
So Christian, a couple questions for you. My first question is, what happens if they move out? The property still has a PUD and any of these other items can still be used, is that correct?
Yeah, that was one of the major goals of the PUD, was to make sure that the property owners retain all of their current entitlements and rights through the industrial zoning. So the PUD simply expands that list of uses to include retail, but doesn't take anything away.
And I apologize, this might be a really dumb question. Why a PUD though? Why was there was no other venues or avenues? It had to be a PUD? No additional use or something like that you can?
Standalone retail sales is not an allowable use in industrial, so the options for them would be to relocate, go through the PUD process, do a traditional rezoning, which again would affect the existing property owners, they may have agreed to that, or potentially look at a change to the written land development code to make this an allowable use in all of industrial, which also didn't necessarily make sense. So this seemed the path of least resistance to allow them to continue and expand their operation.
Gotcha, that makes sense. And if I was a landowner, I'm getting a PUD on my property, so that's more things you can do on your property to make me happy, right?
They agreed to the application, so I assume that they're happy with it.
Thank you.
Can we talk about the potential for a motion and why someone might support or wish for some changes or not support? Yeah. If we're ready to do that.
So I just put a couple comments before we choose any kind of motion. So one of the reasons I asked, I feel like this is really early on me. One of the reasons I asked about the additional uses to the existing use, right, is that it really is just number one, correct, in this list?
That is correct.
So when I look at the retail trade, what I read earlier, won't read it again, but what can be added to the permitted uses, that seems overarchingly to the character of what is existing now, less impactful than if it became a general warehousing and storage, trucking or courier services, or wholesale trade establishment for motor vehicle supplies, beer, wine, distilled alcoholic beverages. Those are all currently allowed there. So in my mind, allowing Beam to expand there for what seems to be a lighter, if you will, use retail kind of establishment, it's not like a Circle K is going in or anything like that, in my mind is less impactful of a change than putting a beer distributor there.
Would that lead you to make a motion of support? So we'll continue to talk about it.
I would make a motion to approve.
Second.
Any further discussion? Do you guys feel comfortable with the record that we've established as to what we're doing, what we're doing?
I think you've expressed your thoughts and why you think it would be a compatible use, so.
Sorry, one question, is this actually a motion to approve or motion to recommend? Since this is a recommendation to City Council. And make a motion to recommend approval to the City Council.
Second.
May we have a roll call vote, please?
David Dahl,
Yes.
Nicholas Andrews,
Yes.
Colleen White,
Yes.
Justin Lehman,
Yes.
Margaret Murray.
Yes. The recommendation is approved to move forward. Thank you very much. Mr. Coakley, do we have a planning department report?
Our next scheduled meeting is June 26th, and we have one case scheduled for that. Also, the consultants brought back the results from all the workshops that we had at the council workshop related to the land development code and comp plan. Those results are available through the presentation that's on the website for the comp plan, land development code change, the update, the COJB update. And so you can kind of go through there, and they've got the percentages of support or not support for the various items that were proposed as potential ideas or solutions to some of the issues that were raised during the previous round of workshops. So it's pretty interesting to see the results of what people thought were good ideas and not good ideas. There was a overwhelming amount of support for looking at the lot coverages and lot sizes to make those more compatible with what's actually on the ground. So that was encouraging. Fair amount of support for some of the parking resolutions and things like that. But I think it's interesting if you have attended those meetings, you can kind of see how the rest of the public thought about it. And now that that's concluded, the applicant and staff are going to start working on draft sections. Consultant has a lot of work to do in the meantime as far as updating things like definitions and that kind of stuff, and finding inconsistencies in the existing code. But we'll be proposing actual language and drafts towards the end of the year, and then those will start going through another round of workshops and then public hearings. So we are in the home stretch, so to speak. It's the longest step, but it's a good step. So
Thank you for the update. Any questions?
Christian, where did you say that's posted?
it is the address correct or something. I forget.
Can you email it to us?
I can. Yeah, I'll do that.
Thank you.
That'd be great. Any further discussion?
Yes, ma'am. Madam Chair, I will be going in Oceana, Virginia on the 26th, so I will not be here.
Thank you very much, sir. We will miss you. Any further discussion? We are adjourned. Thank you, everyone.